Hello, my name's Savannah, and I'm just here to have a good time. And I'm doing a bad job at it. When I was bullet pointing stuff I wanted to make videos about, I realized they were all topics centered around my crisis. If you don't know about my crisis, here it is. Sav's big crisis. Basically, I turned 23 in July, and ever since then I have been struggling in a variety of realms, my daily waking thoughts sort of just flitting between each of them, and that's what life is now, I guess. There's 4 that I am willing to share with the public at large. Gotta maintain a bit of mystery. I think there's actually 7. I kind of wanted there to be 9, like the 9 circles of hell. I thought that'd be kind of funny. Wish I was worse, is what I'm saying. I wish I was struggling more for a joke. Anyway, this is one of the things, and we'll begin with a thesis statement. There's a lot of like empowerment discourse centered around the self. So like, you're the only thing you actually have, which is something I've said before. But it's stuff like that that's based around control and autonomy and like being able to exert influence over your own life and facilitate your own happiness. And it's a comforting thought. It feels good to say I can control this. But what if, I postulate, what if one of the most fulfilling things about being alive is forming connections with other people, which really is something that you can't control at all because you can't make other people love you. Which is where the crisis begins, because that's scary. You can't really make yourself love yourself either, but you can at least pretend. You can at least give it an old college try. Whereas other people are terrifying and totally unpredictable because you can't know what they're thinking. Other people lie and mask and want and use, and I want them all to love me so bad. That was a poor thesis statement, far too long. Here's a brief history of my life. I mean, don't worry, I'm going to bring this all back around to like a lesson eventually, but I'm not going to pretend this whole thing isn't just glorified me time, so strap in. I didn't have many friends growing up, definitely kept more to myself. I don't think I was shy, and I remember feeling like a pull to connect with people, like I wanted that, but I was definitely anxious and still am. I was never anyone's best friend. I had a lot of acquaintances, and it felt like people like generally liked me, but there was never anyone that I was like actually really close to. And then anything approaching a close friendship that I would eventually have wouldn't be until high school, and they were all over the internet. Then came uni, where I made friends somehow, like fully a group of girlfriends, which was something I had literally never experienced before. Like, I was in a group chat. That's some shit. And again, I wouldn't say I was especially close to any of them, but we got along, and the feeling of like being physically surrounded by people was new and fun. I'd also just moved to London, and I was meeting tons of people who I'd known through YouTube, so it was like all kind of happening. But then for some reason, I was just done with like the whole uni mindset after a grand total of 1 semester. I just like came back from Christmas break, and then ever since then, I've been slowly isolating myself. Not intentionally, I think. Honestly, I don't even really know what's happened, but basically I woke up on my 23rd birthday like, who are my friends? Where are they? What have I actually done over the past like 4 years at least? I wrote books or whatever, but like, who cares? I'm joking, obviously, I care a lot. But I mean in terms of like memories and meaningful relationships and moments distinguishable from one another and not just identical one-note days lost to the interminable current of time, you know? You know that feeling? And it's weird because I'm a huge introvert, but my most valuable experiences when it comes to like learning things and feeling honestly alive and like a member of the human race and not just meat rotting at home, like all of those moments have happened when I've been with people. And don't get me wrong, I have a rich internal world. Some may say too rich. I talk to myself all day long. But as someone who spent the better part of her life assuring herself that she'll never have to rely on anyone else for anything, and who moved to another continent on a whim the month after she turned 18 just to see what would happen, I guess, like, I've always really valued independence. But independence isn't reclusion, and I don't know why or when I decided that it was. In any case, the binding thread throughout that really rather verbose tale of woe is that I've always found it really difficult to build withstanding, meaningful relationships with people, and I'm not really sure why. I may have an inkling. I guess it's for a couple of reasons, and this might get a little bleak and honest, which coincidentally is what I'd call a pub if I had one. So I don't trust anyone. Firstly, I think that's one of the main issues. I always assume I'm not anyone's priority, so I don't go out of my way to make anyone else my priority. I also have like a weird robot brain that can't decide what is okay to say or share. And I'm really scared of saying too much. So I tend to err on the side of like not saying anything at all. Which, as I'm sure you can imagine, is not a substantial basis to build a close friendship upon. And I recognize the irony in making a whole video revealing these quite intimate truths. But, what else? I get really uncomfortable when stuff gets too real. I tend to be a bit aloof. And I think people assume that like means I'm not into it. I'm just not a clingy person at all. And I also forget things, like my memory's pretty bad. Basically, I think I'm just a bit of a tough nut to crack. So it's like all of those things combined. Jesus Christ, I sound like the worst person ever. I wouldn't want to be my friend. I swear I have redeeming qualities about myself. Oh no. So like I need something that feels exhaustive but not smothering. Like I want to be comfortably encompassed but not like constantly superficially around. And it's like, who is the person that's gonna deal with any of this, who I also get along with? Like, and given how few people I meet on a regular basis, like, I pass 1 billion people in London a day, and I'm like, who are all of you people? Like, could I care for you? How many of you idiots could I love? I might be overestimating the amount of people I could actually be close to, which is simultaneously comforting and makes it even worse. It might be 100 a day. It might be none. I don't know. That being said, that thought has made all my past relationships feel all the more valuable. Like lately I've found myself wanting to go back and say, hey, I spent a bit of my life with you and I think that's important, and it's like weird to never talk to you again, I guess. Like, I don't know. I think just any sort of real thing with anyone is so rare. And I've realized that maybe this whole thing made me so nervous in the first place because I always knew it was important. Like it was some phenomenon I couldn't quite parse, but I knew I wanted more of, and I was scared of ruining things. And I convinced myself that because it makes me nervous, I ought to just like get rid of it. But that's not how things work. Hey Siri, why am I so emotionally unavailable?
Fascinating question.
Sometimes I feel like I'm just saying lines. I mean it. Like I'm not actually saying anything besides some weird curated version of my actual thoughts. And then I'm like, well, maybe that's what everyone does. But I don't think everyone does that. I've genuinely never felt like I actually fit in. I've come near to that, I guess, but it's never so hard completely. To cross that intimacy. Is there a moment where you're supposed to be like, oh, you're dear to me suddenly? Close to people in moments, but then I go home and I don't feel that anymore. I have so many secrets. Really don't trust. I struggle with the idea that I can be. There are so many things about myself that I will never tell anyone. I want everyone to love me, and I want to be loved because I'm exceptional. Say that I kind of like when people. I think maybe this thing I'm looking for doesn't. I think there's something wrong with me. I think there's something wrong. I think there's something wrong. I think there's something wrong. I want everyone. I want everything. I want everyone. I want everything. I want everyone. I want everything. When you boil it down, really this whole gig is a lonely dead end. I mean, no one dies with us, am I right, ladies? So what is the point? Why is this something I have decided I need so badly right now? Honestly, I feel like I've already wasted time and people and time with people. I think it's fair to say that it's not quite as trivial as like, I feel like I don't do enough on weekends. Maybe it's actually like when I arrive at the end of my life, I want to know that I've loved so much and that I've been so loved and that I spent my time on earth enjoying my own company, sure, but also made it through in camaraderie with the only other beings I will ever encounter who have any semblance of understanding of what it's like to be looking out the window on this absolute nonsense train journey towards oblivion. And I want to have looked as many of them in the eyes as I could and have said to them, I will never, ever truly know what they're thinking. But God, do I understand? And God, do I hope they understand? And that maybe in the pursuit of making sense of ourselves and of making sense of any of this, the most important resource we have is each other. And maybe that's why I'm so desperate to find as many things that are real enough to hold in my hands as I can. But that is a very strong opener. Can't pull that one out in the smoking area, so I will think of something else. Thanks for watching.